But first, Donald Trump has insisted he is not joking about serving a third term as president of the United States. In fact, he said it will actually really be his fourth term, because he was robbed by Biden in 2020, that old story. So the thing is, constitutionally, it's really not going to happen. But who is this man? Who is Donald Trump? He's talking about a third term. He's talking about bombing Iran now. He's obviously talking about ethnically cleansing Gaza, annexing Canada, and taking over Greenland and calling it red, white and blue land. You couldn't make this stuff up, really, if you tried. But I want to know who he really is. Are we misreading the man? Is he as dangerous as some people think he is? Is he as brilliant as other people still, for some reason, think he is? Well, somebody who might just know the answer to some of these questions is Steve Siebold, who's author and speaker on psychological performance training and has known Mr. Trump for some considerable time. Steve, thank you for joining me. I have to start by saying that I'm a massive fan of you. I watch a lot of what you put out there, and I find what you say fascinating, which is why I was insistent we get you on my programme. That question, Steve, who is Donald Trump?
Well, he's far more dangerous, Petrie, than most people realize. This is a sick man. This is someone literally who needs major psychological help. He is the most dangerous person right now in the world, and I wish most of the world, especially in the U.S., but also in the U.K. and around the world, I wish people would see this as a non-political event, but literally a threat to world order.
When you say he's... Are we back? Yes, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry, Steve, we had some technical issue there. Is he dangerous because... is he benignly dangerous? Is he dangerous because he... is not as smart as he thinks he is? Is he dangerous because he just makes stupid decisions? Or is he dangerous deliberately?
He's dangerous because he's suffering from the most severe inferiority complex I have ever even heard of. And this has been talked about for many years, especially in the U.S., especially in Florida, where people like me, live very close to him. And he's out to prove to people, and mostly himself, that he's this smart guy. He's not a very smart guy, but he's trying to prove that he is over and over and over. And a lot of us that have known him for a while thought that becoming president of the most powerful country in the world would be enough to satisfy that ego. But apparently that didn't happen in the first term. And now he's moving from a sociopathic, I believe, mentality to a psychopathic mentality. And that means people are going to die around the world unless he's stopped. So
he is deliberately dangerous, in your view?
Absolutely. He's out to prove how smart he is. That's why he tells us all the time, how he knows more about war than the generals and more about this than anyone else. And he continually tells you how smart he is if you follow it. He's a sick man, frankly. And unfortunately, America has a very ignorant populace where people don't pay attention to what's going on. We're a rich country. We've been rich for a long time. And I think we're like a spoiled, rich teenager that is not paying attention to what's going on. And as a result, we've been taken by a con man. And unfortunately, the world is paying the price.
Now, you've known Mr. Trump for a few decades. Did you always think that? Or is this something he's grown into?
He's the scariest person I've ever met in my life, frankly. And I felt that way. I don't know anyone, even when we first started, we started working for him, a company I started in the 1990s. People that around him told me literally during the first time of our contract said, the less time you spend around Mr. Trump, the more success you're going to have, because, he is not someone you want to get to know. He doesn't keep his agreements. His word is worth nothing. These are his own people telling me this in the 1990s. And I lived in Palm Beach, Florida, where he spends a lot of time, and I've been to Mar-a-Lago a lot of times, his home, and this is what the people around him say. So we were pretty much warned from the beginning, but he has absolutely gotten worse to the point where I believe he's more dangerous than Vladimir Putin.
A lot of people, though, believe that he is just a useful puppet, that he has surrounded himself with the likes of J.D. Vance, who I would posture is more dangerous perhaps even than Trump when he gets his full wings, that actually he's just a useful puppet. He's being used as a useful puppet by the Kremlin, that in fact the people around him are using him to get these things through. But do you think he's got more control of the narrative than that?
I do. I think that J.D. Vance and Elon Musk and a lot of people do see him. You say puppet, I would say useful idiot, same concept. But I don't really think that that's the real threat. The real threat is whatever satisfies this man's ego is what he'll do. So now he's told us how he's going to do all these things, like he was going to end the war in Ukraine, on the first day, and he's going to fix the economy. And we can all see, around the world what's happening, especially here in America. I mean, it's just, the economy is tanking. He's literally tanking the economy, a one-man effort, which is unbelievable. But I think he's far more dangerous than people like J.D. Vance and Elon Musk even understand, because he has no moral compass. This man would sell his own children if it satisfied his ego. Literally. I mean, I'm not exaggerating.
A lot of people, though, will say, take him seriously, but not literally. It seems to me that we need to do both.
I agree with you. You need to take him seriously and literally, because you never know what this guy is going to do. It's this sickness he has to prove himself. And I mean, even his own father didn't think he was very bright. I mean, he sent him off to military school when he was a teenage troublemaker. He didn't ever think he was that bright. His family didn't think he was that bright. A lot of the people around him know he's not that bright of a guy. This is a man that inherited $400 million, in today's dollars, $400 million USD. And he's lost it 6 times. This is not a super bright guy. He's probably a guy of average intelligence, but that's not what makes him dangerous. What makes him dangerous is he has no character. This is a man who has no moral compass. He will do anything, and I believe he will kill en masse as well.
When we look to that, and we look to the near future with Trump, what is he aiming for? What does he want?
He wants his ego to be satisfied. I know that sounds almost pedestrian, but that's really, I believe, what it really is. There is no satisfying his ego. It's impossible. It's a hole he can't fill. He just doesn't understand that. He's not self-aware enough to know that. But that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to prove how tough he is. Trump is an absolute coward. He's not tough at all. And I'm so glad that Starmer and in the UK is standing up to him, and the Prime Minister of Canada is standing up to him, and people are standing up to him around the world. I'm so glad to see that, because he's a bully, he's a coward, and hopefully he will back down before more damage is done. But
will he not just double down? I mean, this is the problem with psychopaths and cowards, right? Particularly if you've got that combination in one person. They don't like to lose. And it's been suggested to me, oh, well, then we've got to paint him a way out of the corner so that he feels like he's won, which is pathetic with a world leader. But will he not just get worse if people stand up to him to a point?
It's a really good point, and you make a great point, and that's what makes it so tough. This is Hitler, basically. This is J.D. Vance, our current vice president, called him a few years back America's Hitler, and a lot of people thought that was a big exaggeration. I don't think it's an exaggeration at all. We know what Hitler did. I think Trump is absolutely capable of doing the same thing and more, because it's not that Trump hates one segment of the population, like the Jewish population, like Hitler did. Trump hates anyone that disagrees with him. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. What are your fears for Canada?
Yeah, we're just treating Canada. Canada is our best friend, of course, along with the UK and so many other democratic countries that have stood by us. I mean, over the years, whether it was 9/11 or fought with us in World War II, and all the different things that we've gone through together. He's just treating them so horribly, and Americans across the board. I haven't met a single American that feels the way Trump does. I mean, we feel like we're abusing Canada, and I believe that he will invade Canada. I think he'll take Canada by invasion because Canada's not going to roll over. They're a sovereign country. They're a great country. They shouldn't roll over. I think he'll take them by invasion. I think he'll take Panama, and I think he'll take Greenland, and maybe even Denmark if he has to. It's a very dangerous person.
I mean, does he understand or care that any aggression towards Canada would trigger Article 5 for only the second time? First time was everybody else came to the defence of America. Does he know or care that would be a pretty much a world war?
I would doubt if Trump has read Article 5, and I know that sounds crazy. I mean, I bet you he doesn't really understand the NATO treaty. He's not a reader. He doesn't study. This is a guy who's used his money and power to bully people his entire life, and it's worked. He's never really faced any real challenge to his con man game. And so he just keeps doing it. And if, before he was president, it wasn't really a joke, but the big thing around, Florida and New York where he lived was if you didn't agree with them and he screwed you over, he would just sue you. And if you could afford to stay in court for 5 years in the U.S., which is very expensive, then you did it. But most people couldn't. So he would just bully you one way or another. So this is not a man that studies. This is not a man that does his homework. This is a sociopath that just throws around his money and now his unlimited power.
When he says, I'm not joking about a third term, I mean, again, taking him literally, he said in the run-up to the election, if you vote for me, you'll never have to vote again. He wasn't joking then. I don't think he's joking now.
I think you're right. I don't think he's joking. I really don't. And he's got people working, from what I understand, he's got people working behind the scenes already, trying to prove that, that he made this big lie that he lost this election, that he won the election, the last one, the one before. And of course, that was a big lie. But I think they're going to make some kind of play to get him in a third term. He wants to be Vladimir Putin. He worships these people, these murderous dictators. And this is what he wants to be. He wants to be there, I think, until he drops. And he may pull it off.
I understand that Donald Trump Jr. is also going to run for president in 2028. Is that right?
That's another scary thing that's been floated. He's another guy that's not very bright, has no Richie Rich. This kid was born with a silver spoon, just like his daddy, and knows very little about what he's doing. But again, it could be a very dangerous situation for the entire world, which is just horrible. And I know Americans, I'd be remiss if I didn't say we're so sorry to you guys in the UK, our great friends in the UK, and all the entire world, because most of us, I think, really are not for President Trump.
How are you coping, though? I mean, I'm not even American. I'm not even in America. But I literally can't sleep at night. I mean, I am furious for you, and I am scared for you, because we know about fascism on this side of the water, right? I mean, I'm too young to have lived through it, but believe me, it's in our DNA. And we can see it. We can see it coming. It's a check exercise, right? We can see all the boxes being ticked. But how are Americans coping? Now, clearly it's divided at the moment between MAGA and the rest of America. MAGA, it feels to me like they're in some form of cult, that they don't want to hear any of the bad stuff. They don't see it. But what about the rest of you? What's happening there?
Yeah, I agree with you, Petrie. And when you say you guys can see it coming, Americans can't. That's the problem. They really don't understand. They think this is a political divide. It's not political at all. I served in the Bush administration, 25 plus years ago, whatever it was, under George W. Bush. I loved politics. I was mostly a Republican, mostly a fiscal conservative, and really enjoyed the process and everything. this is not politics. I mean, for me personally, I mean, I'm losing sleep just like you are at night. And I think a lot of Americans are, mostly the Americans that understand that this is not politics. This is Hitler that's come to America, and he's getting more dangerous by the day. All you have to do is listen to his rhetoric, and it's very disturbing, and it's obviously it's affecting not only us in in the United States, but around people around the world.
What will the American people do? Because it's getting late, right? In the checklist of what you can do. Do you think the American people will revolt? I know there's big marches coming up on April the 5th. You've been organising some of those. Will they get media traction? Will they even care? And if that doesn't work, what's next?
Honestly, I hope that we rise up. A lot of us are out there screaming from top of our lungs to march, and I think we've got millions of people so far signed up for April 5th. I didn't organize that, but I'm just promoting. Promote it. Yeah, just helping promote it. It's a group called Hands Off 2025. They're doing a great job. So we're going to start protesting as much as we possibly can, and hopefully the masses will rise up, and we're trying to tell people this is why Hitler was able to take over Germany and exterminate 6 million Jews, because the people would not rise. And you're right. I believe you're exactly right. It's getting very late. We don't have a lot of time. I think if that doesn't happen, frankly, I think he'll be assassinated.
Do you really?
I really do. The hate here is. The fear is I've never experienced anything like it. And again, America's never seen anything like this. And I don't think this would be a good thing. Obviously, we don't want the president to be assassinated to be a terrible thing. But I think that's a real possibility.
It's absolutely fascinating to talk to you, Steve. I'd like to do it again at some time, if I could, if you would agree.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Steve Siebold there, author and speaker on psychological performance training.